An unlikely face at this week's DNC, Donald Trump's former personal attorney and fixer, Michael Cohen. I caught up with him to ask why he came to Chicago, and here's what he had to say.
But what does it say that you are here? You used to work for Donald Trump. Now you're at the DNC. You're trying to beat Trump.
Well, it's also not my first convention that I've been at. It's not my first Democratic convention that I've ever been at. Remember, this is a massive mistake that is regularly made by people. I've been a Democrat virtually my entire life.
There must be something gratifying about being here, having these folks come up to you, want the selfie, because of what you're saying. The fact that you're speaking out against Trump.
You mean truth to power?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That the man is unfit for the presidency of the United States. 2016 through 2020 was a very tumultuous, chaotic time in America's history. The question is, do we want to go back there? Or as people start chanting when Kamala is talking, we're not going back. Why would you want to live in chaos? Why do you want to live with the tumult that this man brings? I know the man. And I'm telling you, if he, God forbid, a million times wins the election, right now in 2024, there will never be another election ever again.
What is going to go through Donald Trump's mind, though, when he sees you, when he sees former administration people here?
Truth, I don't really care what he's thinking. This isn't about him. You know, we try to make everything about him, his feelings and stuff. I don't care about his feelings. What I care about is seeing a big, gigantic blue wave come November, and not just for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, but the entire down ballot. Trumpism is fascism, and we must eradicate it from our body politic. Otherwise, we're going to lose our democratic republic.
And I did want to ask you, I mean, you know Trump very well. One day this week he says, oh, I like the Obamas. The next day he's trashing them. I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, before the RNC, they were saying this is a different kind of Trump.
Right.
And then we saw that wasn't the case.
Right. He's saying it because he knows that President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, former First Lady Michelle Obama, was going to be here and they were going to be speaking about it. So he thinks by saying nice things about him that it's going to change. That works if you're Donald Trump. Vladimir Putin says Donald Trump is smart. All of a sudden, it's a love affair. Kim Jong-un says nice things about Donald. All of a sudden, it's a love affair. Xi Jinping says it. All you need to do is flatter the guy, and next thing you know, you're best friends. There's love letters going around. This is not, again, normal behavior. It's not something America should want for a president.
And it was amazing to see Michael Cohen take selfie after selfie here. The DNC is kind of a big celebrity here. Pretty wild to watch. Let's talk about this now. Joining me now to talk about this, CNN political commentator Maria Cardona, CNN political analyst Laura Barron Lopez, and former spokesperson for North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum's presidential campaign, Lance Trover. Lance, let me start with you first. I'm sure there's not a lot of love for Michael Cohen anymore inside the Republican Party, but Harris made a similar point last night about dictators rooting for Trump so they can manipulate him with flattery and favors if he's elected. Do you find that argument convincing? What about that argument?
Well, first off, does anybody really care what Michael Cohen has to say? Find me one voter who really gives a damn what he thinks. Nobody does. Certainly nobody inside the Republican Party cares.
I have to tell you, I know what you mean, Lance, but when I walked around this Democratic National Convention, he could not walk 10 feet without a Democrat coming up to him. I'm just saying that is what we witnessed, what we experienced. Inside the Republican Party, of course. I'm just letting you know. Yeah.
Everybody in that arena hates Donald Trump. Of course they were. They're all on the same side. Okay, back to your question. Look, I don't recall. I mean, yeah, the dictator stuff is fine, but Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we are locked in a war with Ukraine that we did not have when Donald Trump was president. Hamas attacked Israel. We did not have that going on when he was president. And I mean, so if he has a way of talking to dictators and he likes nice things being said about them, but we didn't have nearly the foreign policy entanglements that we have had over the course of the last 3.5 years as Kamala Harris has been vice president. So that is a fact that can't go unnoticed. And look, I get it. Her whole speech last night was built around forgetting the fact that she's been vice president, forgetting the fact that she ran one of the most far-left campaigns for president this country has ever seen, and forgetting the fact that she was one of the most liberal senators this country has ever seen. That was what the entire speech was built around. It was trying to focus on Donald Trump and not the record that she has had, and I totally get that.
All right. Maria, I mean, Harris highlighted a lot. I mean, Lance is kind of glossing over, but Harris was highlighting that Trump says he wants to do a lot of things other than just be cozying up to dictators. I mean, she talked about how Donald Trump has talked about jailing journalists and political opponents. He's done this.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think what Vice President Harris did last night was not just remind people what he did 4 years ago, but highlight what he has already said he would do. I know he and his supporters are dying to run away from Project 2025, but Project 2025 is on paper. And so many of the things that would be detrimental to our country, to our society, to our democracy, to so many voters in the country are written in black and white in Project 2025 in terms of what he would want to do. And he's talked about them. He talked about getting rid of the Department of Education. He talked about what you just said, jailing his opponents, including journalists.
Yeah,
he talks about mass deportation. He wants to put deportation camps all around the country. He would instill family separation again. So he would, yet again, rip babies from the arms of their mother.
Yeah.
So all of that is right there for everyone to read and see.
Yeah, Laura, let's listen to a bit more of what Kamala's had to say about this.
Donald Trump is an unserious man. But the consequences of putting Donald Trump back in the White House are extremely serious. Donald Trump tried to throw away your votes. When he failed, he sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol, where they assaulted law enforcement officers. Consider what he intends to do if we give him power again.
And Laura, we also saw Brian Sicknick's family up on stage paying tribute to the fallen Capitol police officer. January 6th was not glossed over. It was not swept to the side at this convention.
It was not, and you also heard Republicans like Adam Kinzinger and the former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Jeff Junkin. And I think it was striking that you saw all of these Republicans come out, people that are Republican through and through. They're super conservative. And they also featured testimonial from Republican voters across the country, people that had considered themselves Republicans their entire life, cite things like the Constitution, January 6th, the insurrection, as reasons for why they felt that they couldn't support Donald Trump anymore. And that is something that I have, I've met voters like that in states like Arizona. Being reminded of January 6th is something that the Harris campaign really wanted to do. They wanted to remind voters of it, and they're going to continue to do that between now and November.